The story of the Normans in Tunisia, Vikings. Tunisia. That sounds like something straight out of a historical fantasy novel, right? But what if I told you that in the 12th century, warriors with Viking ancestry actually set foot on North African soil and even ruled parts of Tunisia? This isn't a myth, it's real history. This is the story of the Normans in Tunisia. Descendants of Vikings who built kingdoms in Europe and for a brief but fascinating moment left their mark on Tunisia. So, grab your shields and let's set sail into history. Before we talk about Tunisia, let's rewind and talk about the Normans. Who were they? Well, their story begins in the 9th and 10th centuries, when Viking raiders from Scandinavia terrorized Europe. But instead of just looting and leaving, some Vikings decided to settle, specifically in what is now northern France. They adapted to local customs, adopted Christianity, and became known as the Normans, which literally means men from the north. Fast forward a few centuries, and these former Vikings had transformed into powerful knights and rulers. They conquered England in 1066, established a kingdom in Sicily, and became one of the dominant military forces in medieval Europe. But how did they end up in North Africa? To understand this, we have to look at Norman Sicily. In the 11th century, the Normans, led by the famous Roger III, and later his son Roger II, conquered the island of Sicily. At the time, Sicily had been under Muslim rule for over 200 years, and its culture was a unique blend of Arab, Greek, and Latin influences. Unlike other medieval rulers, the Normans in Sicily didn't just wipe out the existing culture, they embraced it. They built stunning mosques, spoke Arabic, and even had Muslim advisors. But they also had ambitions beyond Sicily. Just across the Mediterranean was Ifriqiya, what we now call Tunisia, a region that was wealthy, strategically important, and ruled by the Zirid dynasty. Roger II of Sicily saw an opportunity. Tunisia was in turmoil, weak leadership, political infighting, and the threat of rival empires made it a tempting target. And so, in 1148, the Normans invaded. The Norman invasion wasn't a full-scale conquest like in England, but it was still a major military campaign. Roger II's forces seized key cities like Mahdia, Sfax, and Sousse. These were important trading hubs, and by controlling them, the Normans could dominate Mediterranean trade. Imagine the scene. Heavily armored Norman knights riding into battle against North African warriors in the hot Tunisian sun. For a short period, Tunisia became part of the Norman kingdom, connecting Viking-descended rulers to the heart of North Africa. But as we all know, no empire lasts forever. The Norman rule in Tunisia was brief, less than a decade. The reason? The Zirids, with the help of the Almohads from Morocco, fought back. The Almohads were a rising power, and they were determined to drive out the Normans. By 1160, the Normans had lost all their North African territories. Tunisia was back under Muslim control, and the Norman dream of an African kingdom was over. But their influence didn't disappear completely. Even though the Norman presence in Tunisia was short-lived, it left an impact. The Normans strengthened trade links between Sicily and North Africa, and the cultural exchange influenced both regions. Some historians even argue that the brief Norman rule set the stage for future European ambitions in North Africa centuries later. It's fascinating to think that a people who started as Viking raiders in Scandinavia ended up ruling lands as far south as Tunisia. History is full of unexpected twists, And the story of the Normans in Africa is one of the most surprising of them all. And that, my friends, is the incredible story of when Tunisia had a Viking connection. What do you think? Should the Normans have tried to stay in Tunisia, or was their time there doomed from the start? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe for more historical deep dives and ring the bell so you don't miss our next epic story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.